First, we're going to talk about what just happened on the PulseX decentralized exchange. PulseX is the primary DEX on the Pulse chain blockchain. It's where everybody does their trading. Basically, you swap one coin for another if you're new here. We're going to talk about what happened, why it matters, why you should care. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you're going to get my real honest thoughts about all the good, the bad, and I'm even going to talk about stuff like PDI at the very end, so watch the whole thing. It's going to get spicy. So here I am on PulseX.com. If you launch the app and you go ahead and click IPFS or download it locally, this is the new look. So 3 things essentially happened. Brand new UI, more languages added, but most importantly, stablecoin swapping. What does that mean? If you go up here where it says trade and you go down to liquidity, you'll notice a brand new button called stable. This pool, which is a fork of the PancakeSwap's version of the Curve stable protocol, what this does is it's for whales. Think about it, guys. These are for the big people, the big players that are trying to swap one stablecoin for another. So typically, until now, there have been 3 major stablecoin pools. You've got DAI, USDC, and USDT. Now, if a big whale wants to come in with, let's say, 1 million USDT, it would be hard for him just to take out of this pool directly. So what you could think about it like this, all right? The stable pool over here, it connects all 3 stable pools, USDC Pulse, USDT Pulse, DAI Pulse. It connects all the pools and it allows you to do a more efficient swap with less slippage. I'm going to show you guys. Watch this. Now you can put in any amount. Okay, so if you're a whale, I want you to listen even closer right now. If you're a whale, you can earn a couple % APY just for parking your stablecoins here and earn transaction fees all day. You don't have to have an even amount of each. You could have 500 USDT, 1 million USDC, and no DAI. And it doesn't matter because it just adds all the products together to get the constant. Let's go to the exchange and show you why this matters, okay? If I want to convert USDC for DAI, let's say 100,000 of them. Look at this right now. The slippage for me transacting 100,000 USDC is going to get me 97,000 DAI. In the past, it was not this good, okay? You had to use things like Fux.io. You had to go to Pateus. Pateus was going to route you through all the different DEXs. Now, Fux is still very important, okay? It's very important for the native stablecoins, especially USDL and all that. But look at what a better deal you're getting. You know, you're only losing about 2% in slippage, and as the liquidity on this pair grows, it's going to get more and more efficient. So when there's millions of dollars in the stable 3 pair, you're going to be able to swap 100K USDC for basically 99,999 DAI. It's going to get very efficient. We can go to the info tab, click on stable over here, and see that there's only $141,000 of liquidity. It's only been around for 1 day. This literally just happened. It literally just happened. So as the liquidity ramps up, the order execution is going to get more efficient for whales. Basically, you're inviting big players to come over here and pump your bags. I'd rather onboard a couple of millionaires into the Pulse chain ecosystem than, you know, 1 million guys with $100. And I know a lot of you guys probably don't care about how this actually works under the hood. I just want to show you the order routing. The steps in the route are as such. Instead of having to split the cost of the transaction in between those individual pools, like I showed you earlier, the USDC pool, then the DAI pool, it can take some of the transaction and route it through the more efficient stable 3 pool. And look, it gets even more efficient. You've got V2, V3. All these routes together gives whales a better deal. That's the long story short of it. Now, in addition to some UI updates, which look good, we've also got language updates up here. So basically, you've got every single language covered up here now. When people are aping into Pulse chain, which hasn't happened yet, we haven't seen true adoption of Pulse chain yet. Still hasn't pumped. But all it's going to take is one spark from a couple of individuals, a couple of millionaires. I'm talking to you out there. If anybody's listening, whales, big guys, realize that there's relatively low liquidity on Pulse chain. It doesn't take much for your whale bags to pump the crap out of Pulse chain, okay? And when that happens, we all know people, they don't like to buy the dip. People like to buy the tops, okay? So when all these people across the globe are buying the tops, not you watching, of course, because you're watching this now in September 2024, you're buying early, but when every retail pleb apes in, I think it's better that they're able to actually read the buttons in their native language from wherever they are in the world. So basically you enable, 8 billion people in the world to read what they're actually doing on the website. So we talked about why it matters. Okay, long story short, we're inviting big players into the ecosystem. Is that going to be Richard Hart himself? Is it going to be other whales? Doesn't matter. If you're a whale out there watching, realize how easy it is for you to pump this ecosystem pretty astronomically high. Now, obviously, wait for there to be more liquidity in the Stable 3 pool. It's only 2 days old. But here's something interesting. Let's talk about what was removed in the update. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but I see some people criticizing what was removed. There used to be 2 options up here, next to the word farm, just like there was a drop down here. It used to be farm and earn, okay? And the earn tab was previously for single-sided staking. Now, a lot of people get so caught up in this single-sided staking narrative. Okay, what single-sided staking is it basically allows you to stake a coin and get paid payouts in the form of whatever, INC token or some other token, for basically doing nothing, for doing no risk at all. It's basically just like a free money printer, which these free money printers, the reason that oftentimes they have such low APYs is because you don't put any skin in the game when you do single-sided staking. All right, it costs you nothing, whereas if you're a liquidity provider and a yield farmer, it costs you the impermanent loss risk. So you're eating that risk and you're getting compensated for that risk. What are you getting compensated for in single-sided staking? What are you actually doing? You're not doing anything, right? So we've already got staking in Hex, which I believe is a better design of single-sided staking. Single-sided staking was removed from PulseX due to the fact that it's really just unnecessary sell pressure. Now, you might disagree with me, but guess what? We've got single-sided staking already. If you really want single-sided staking that bad, I hear people whining about this on Twitter. Go to 9inch. Go to 9inch.io. Go check out their single-sided staking. You can see for yourself whether you like it or not. Okay? You can see for yourself. Now, the criticism of removing a feature that everybody wanted. Think about why did everybody want this feature? At the end of the day, it's because they want something for nothing. They want to stake their coins and get a free money printer. But again, when you don't actually sacrifice any risk for staking your coins, all the rewards that you get from staking those coins are just a negative externality, right? Sell pressure. Now, some people on the internet, they're just going to complain about everything. They're just not happy, and that's fine. Whatever. They hate their lives. But there are valid criticisms, okay? Other platforms out there, they've got features that Pulse Chain doesn't have. So again, if you want Uniswap v3 liquidity, sometimes I like to play single-sided liquidity games. So if you want to dump your coins without hurting the price on Uni v3 with all these crazy liquidity games, go to 9inch. If you want single-sided staking, go to 9inch. If you want stuff like, dollar cost average module, 9inch has all these extra features, all the bells and whistles that a lot of people complain that PulseX doesn't have. But here's the thing, guys. I want you to think about this. We need to zoom out a lot of times in crypto because a lot of people think that the price isn't pumping because not enough features. All right, at a certain point, more features adds diminishing returns. There's only marginal benefit to adding more bells and whistles onto the DEX, okay? Again, we've got phux.io. We've got 9inch.io. I like these platforms because I like the bells and whistles. But a lot of people get so wrapped up in the 0.0001% of the population that actually cares about that stuff. What do people do when they come to a DEX, guys? For the most part, what do people do? What do you do when you go to a DEX? Be honest with yourself here, okay? What I most of the time do, and I'm an advanced user, okay? So I use V3. I sometimes use all the crazy stuff. Most people are just swapping one coin for another, guys. They're swapping one coin for another. So if you really want V3 or you really want single-sided staking, we've got it. But don't fall for the trap of thinking that if PulseX just keeps jamming more features into it, then the price is going to go up. See, the reason PulseX hasn't pumped yet is not because of lack of features. It's really two things, guys. It's market conditions, which are bearish if you haven't noticed. Macro has been bearish. Altcoins are down, except for the occasional meme coin pump and dump. Across the board, most altcoins have been very lackluster so far. Basically, everybody's waiting on the Ethereum ETF. They're waiting for Ethereum to do what Bitcoin did, and it's going to be great. There are better times ahead. But two things. It's not lack of features. It's market conditions and awareness. Okay? Awareness, attention, marketing. It all means the same thing. See, a lot of times, us people in crypto, including myself, okay, we get this tunnel vision. We get this tunnel vision and we don't realize that 99.99% of everybody in the world doesn't even know what the hell a DEX is. Okay, they don't know what a DEX even stands for. That's why at the beginning of the video I told you it stands for decentralized exchange. We have to do repetition for the new people who don't even know what your thing is or why it's good. So going back to the, oh no, single-sided staking was removed, but the small, tiny fragment of the world that cares. Not only crypto bros, but crypto bros within Pulse Chain. Okay, this is a niche within a niche. We all need to realize that 99.9% of the world doesn't know about real DeFi. They don't know about Pulse Chain yet. Now when it comes to all the DEXs on Pulse Chain, PulseX, it does have the best brand awareness so far. Again, 9inch is doing a good job. PHUX doing a good job. It's not features, guys. It's macro. Everything's down. It's macro and it's attention. Let's go on a tangent for a little bit, okay? Let's talk about price being down. And let's talk about the attention side of things. So telling people about why they should care about your coin. Richard Hart, the founder, he was basically like the hype man of Pulse Chain and Hex. And now that the SEC has got him basically unofficially, his hands are tied. He can't talk right now for legal reasons. He'll be back, but he can't talk right now. It's becoming very evident that many people just relied on Richard Hart being the best marketer, doing such a good job. And it was treated for a lot of people just like a celebrity coin. rather than a DeFi innovative token. So while a lot of people chanted all the value props, delayed gratification, decentralized, monetizing time, all the value props, all the selling points, what we've learned in the price chart from the prices being down is that a lot of people, a lot of holders, as much as they might have bought into the narrative, a lot of the community is now fragmented because they went and did their own thing. Some people are adding value. Some people are just doing their own thing that's kind of stupid. A lot of people are adding really good value, though, on chain. But the community is fragmented, and a lot of people rage quit because they didn't even want to play the game. They were just bandwagon speculators who were just cheering on a celebrity. The celebrity in crypto was Richard Hart. And when they didn't see Richard's face anymore for a year, they got scared. So this great washing out of people, the uncomfortable truth about this prolonged dip is that a lot of people didn't actually see the value themselves. A lot of people didn't see the value props of PulseX with the buy and burn. Now, a lot of the community members are carrying the team. Okay, the community members, they're carrying the torch. We're still unstoppable. Okay, we're still the best community in crypto. I don't want to get too negative here. Look at us online. Every single person that tweets about us, Lil Pump, 6ix9ine, they tweet at us because they know they get extremely high engagement from poking the hornet's nest. If they want to talk about hacks, they want to talk about Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain community is hands down the best in crypto, like nothing else. It's organic too. It's not paid for. None of these guys are getting paid by like a VC or insider company. But the harsh truth is that, Richard mattered to a lot of people who didn't actually sell themselves on the vision. They just kind of liked Richard and kind of wanted to be a bandwagon speculator. And it was easy to do that, when the price is 30, 40, 50 cents. But for now in the bear market, it's all going to come back to awareness. So the founder will come back one day. But what the community has to do right now is repetition, 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 back to the basics and doing the marketing and awareness. Because again, you can have all the bells and whistles, but it doesn't matter if nobody knows about your product. Now I'm focusing on the negatives of the price being down, but I want to be very clear that the core community is not going anywhere. They're locked in an average of 7 years. I mean, they're building cool stuff. Again, we've got the bells and whistles on other platforms. And speaking of the founder, speaking of people like Richard, Richard really, he has a one-track mind. He wants to have the best protocols with the price going up the hardest. So it's interesting to think about why he prioritized these features. Think about why stable swaps were the priority for this update. Think about it. Stable swaps are necessary for big money to get in. So we can infer from what he's planning, from what the team is planning, that they obviously want to make PulseX accessible for giant chunks of money to flow in with minimal slippage. It reminds me of a quote that I've heard online too, that it's easier to start off by selling to rich people. Like I said, through videos like this, if I can onboard, 10 millionaires into Pulse Chain, that makes up for 1,000 guys with $1,000. 10 guys with $1 million makes up for thousands of guys with just $100. So Richard knows this, which is why he prioritized these features, because the most successful people in the world are able to focus on a single mission, and they're able to focus on it longer than anybody else. Now that we've got till the end, I told you I would talk about PDI. Here is PDI. Okay, here is the price of PDI today, 57% up in the last 24 hours. PDI is doing great, just erased about a month worth of losses there in one day. Now, why is PDI up after the PulseX update? Well, the conspiracy theorists are at it again. Now, here's the spicy stuff. Here's the trigger warning, because I'm not going to give you what you want to hear, that PDI is going to definitely peg to $1. The way I see it, this is the truth from my particular lens. As honest as I can be. There's only two options here with PDI, okay? Either it pegs to $1 or it doesn't peg. But in between, there's a lot of compelling narratives, a lot of storytelling. You've got even B-Roots has picked it up, tying it to Teddy Bear. The Atropa guys have tied PDI to Atropa. You've got guys like 9 Iron Capital on Twitter. You've got guys like Decentralized Me. I'm going to show you this guy's YouTube videos in a second, okay? Because he makes great YouTube videos that you all need to watch them if you care about the PDI narrative. And the PDI narrative is this. If PDI magically pegs to $1 somehow in the future, well, theoretically, that would be the easiest 600x return of all time, if it was actually true. And the new evidence for the conspiracy today is that the Sacrifice wallet, or wallets related to the Sacrifice wallet, were seen messing around with the P stables. PUSDT, PDI, PUSDC. This is on chain. This is actually true. These P stables were seen interacting with the forked version of the Curve contract. Remember, the Curve finance contract is what the stable swap pool was based off of. Now, I have to tell you both sides of the story because I can't just guarantee you that PDI is going to peg to $1. That would be highly irresponsible of me. Occam's razor, which means the simplest solution is most likely right sometimes, is that they were just testing out the protocol. Yes, you can test out the protocol on the test net, but you can also test out the protocols on the main net which might be easier sometimes because everything was forked. Curve was forked, all the P tables were forked. But at the end of the day, you have to make your own decision, so stick with me here. I still think it's likely that the simplest answer is true. But doesn't mean I don't have a million PDI just in case. I do. I'm holding a small bag. It's about $2,000 worth today. And I'm holding that just in case I'm wrong, in case I don't know what I don't know. See, I'm able to admit that I don't know what I don't know. But now that said, there is some very compelling stuff. Shout out to guys like Hodlnomics. Shout out to guys like this guy, Decentralized Me. He took a lot of time to create these videos, guys. I highly recommend that if you care about the PDI pegging narrative, watch these videos and make your own decision. Really critically think about it, though, and admit to yourself if there's still unfinished loops here. Now, these videos are great, okay? This guy took a lot of time, very high quality. Help, Richard is pegging me. I mean, it's hilarious. Come on. Great videos. This will sum up the on-chain evidence so that you don't have to do all the chain analysis yourself as to what's happening so far. So follow the infographic videos for on-chain proof, but make your own decision. There's unanswered questions. Does Richard Hart own enough Maker to control the protocol? Right now, yes. But what about the founders of Maker? What about all the VCs in Maker that, if they decide to, they've also got forked copies of Maker? Couldn't they decide to shut things down if they wake up out of the dead one day? Now, as of right now, they probably don't even care. And could Richard do something to blacklist the original Maker people? I don't know. What about the Oracle module? The Oracle module was semi-centralized on the Ethereum chain. It's kind of defunct now on the Pulse chain fork version. What would have to happen to get that working again? Again, I don't know. And I haven't seen that explained in a way where I can guarantee anything's pegging here. But if you've got the proof, and if you've got the X, Y, Z happens, and then we peg to $1, go tell the world about it. Go shout it from the rooftops. And, hurry up. Speed that peg along. I want it just as bad as anybody else. The sooner the better. But beware to believe out of desperation, a too good to be true narrative. I've got to play devil's advocate here, guys. People are going to hate this. But I told you, I got a bag. Just be aware of trying to connect dots that possibly don't exist or that you don't truly, truly understand if you're being honest with yourself. And again, maybe I just need some more education. Also remember, the last time the Sacrifice Wallet did do something, this is the anti-conspiracy. The Sacrifice Wallet sold 5,555 PDI. And so what if that was a signal, right? Devil's advocate, don't shoot the messenger. This is all on-chain stuff. But PDI, regardless, very interesting narrative going into the bull market. And I want to end on a positive note. Guys, what is this PulseX update? What does this show us? For all these people and their fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it shows you it's still being worked on. So for all those people fudding themselves that you think RH just gave up? You think the developers just stopped working on stuff? You think the team just went home just because you don't see Richard live streaming every week? Again, no promises can be made because of the way the SEC works. You can't make promises, otherwise you'll be a security. So their hands are tied there. Richard's hands are metaphorically tied in terms of what he can say to the public. But I choose to believe that a guy that made a 10,000x coin that 5 years later still seems to be working hard, I choose to believe that this is a guy that deeply, deeply cares about his projects, deeply cares about being the best, is in it for the glory, and other things that he's actually said verbatim. It seems like an easy bet to me to make that the team, the founder, they're not going anywhere. But ultimately, it's going to be up to you at the end of the day. The choice is yours. Do you think Pulse Chain's here to stay? Do you think PulseX has a bright future? Or do you think it's time to pack it up and we all go home? Feel free to argue in the comments below if you'd like to. Then share the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. It really all helps Pulse Chain go viral. And if you're new to crypto, if you're new to Pulse Chain, this is what's going on in the Pulse Chain PulseX ecosystem. I hope you learned something. See you on the next one.